Good morning from Tok, Alaska. And we got a 4-hour time difference here between here and the States. It's, I believe, just about 8 o'clock in the morning. And since I've made it to Alaska, it's not that big of a rush now. I'm going to be heading up to the Fairbanks area and then, and of course, their North Pole, which is where I'll be staying tonight. It's a lovely 42 degrees out here. So I'm going to get all packed up here, and I'm going to get out and get the bike unloaded, get the bike uncovered, get it loaded back up. Then I'm going to be heading up the road here to what they call the Tok Junction. And there you gotta, you can make a left and head down to Anchorage, or you can stay straight up to Fairbanks. And that's where I'm going. So I'll see you guys on the road. Okay, we're coming up on the junction, what they call the Tok Junction. This is where Route 1 breaks off and heads to Anchorage. And I had one of my high school teachers drove up here in 1972, this junction, because he says all that was here then was a wooden signpost and a sign that said Anchorage to the left. Okay, we're coming through Fairbanks now. And I gotta see if I can find an auto parts store. So I need to do an oil change on my Yamaha. So I'm gonna get off the beaten path here. Okay, I'm in Fairbanks and just doing a quick oil change on the Tracer. That way I don't have to deal with trying to get into a dealership. And so I found an uninhabited parking lot here. This store's for sale or whatever it is, and there's nobody here, so I got it here. I went into an auto zone up the road, and I got a oil filter wrench, a little funnel, and an oil drain pan. And it's a little different in Alaska. They don't take used oil. So the catch is about 8 miles from here, there's an oil drop-off center that's open at 7 o'clock. And the gentleman in the auto parts store gave me the directions. So I got this container here, and once it's drained, and I get the filter changed, and then I'm going to strap it on the back of the bike, and I'll take it down, and then I can hand it in at the drop-off center, and then the oil change is all taken care of. Because there's two things on this trip that have to be taken care of, first and foremost. One is me, to try to keep my health good enough so I can keep riding, so take care of me. And the other one is take care of my bike, because it just, the two of us is what's gonna get me back home. I hope. So anyway, what you call it. So I'll get the filter off. I'll do that. I'll strap everything back on the bike. I had to put it up on a center stand because I couldn't get that drain pan under. So I had to take all the luggage off. No big deal. And while I got it up like that, I'll lift the chain. And then I got to find a car wash because I got my oil here. I bought that down in Whitehorse 2 days ago. And I got my filter from home and fresh washer and my chain lube. So okay, oil change all done, new filter, crush washer, and chain all lubed, luggage all back on, and now I'm going to run down to the drop-off center, which is only, I think, 8/10 of a mile, not 8 miles, 8/10 of a mile away from here. So I'm going to drop off the oil, and then I got to go find a car wash. Okay, I'm at the drop-off point. Boy, they're busy here. Wow. Let's see here. Hazardous waste. That's me. There's the oil. Did buy $12 oil pan, but no big deal. Just found a self-service car wash. All dirty. All clean. Not my kind of clean, but way better than it was. So now it's off to the North Pole to check in. Hotel North Pole. Boy, this takes me back when I was a kid and believed in Santa Claus. Wow. And while I'm going to be here tomorrow, I might do some riding around. But the official mileage for my trip up from home in 10 days is 4,506 miles. This is going to be nice. Checked into the Hotel North Pole, and I treated myself to a king suite, and this is really nice. It's huge, and the place is absolutely beautiful. And so I'm pretty beat up from riding, so I decided I'd get myself a real nice room. But today went good. I started off in Tok, Alaska. That's where I was this morning. And I rode up to Fairbanks. And it was a good weather day. It was in the low 40s almost all the way. Had crazy wind for about 50 or 60 miles. And then it just went away. But the scenery was great again and all. And I went up and rode around Fairbanks. And I did my oil change up there. And then I rode back down right to here. And I'm in the North Pole right now. And it's so cool to be here. And then the Christmas village is only a few hundred yards away. I'm going to ride down there tomorrow, and maybe I can meet Santa Claus. So, like I said, everything went good. It was 241 miles on the day, and the total for my trip, which is going to be my total, that's because I'm not going any further. I might ride around here, tomorrow some, but the total mileage for my trip up in 10 days was 4,506 in 10 consecutive days. And it really was amazing. And I got to meet a nice gentleman here. I was just leaving Tok this morning. Coming out of my motel room, I think his name was Greg. He was on a beautiful Harley Davidson. And he stopped, and most of us bikers talk, and so I went over, and he says, "I'm following your trip on YouTube." I mean, that like gave me goosebumps. I mean, that was like, I'm not doing this for money or I don't even know how many followers I got, but it was really special that he actually was following me. Super nice guy, and he lives around the area, and he's cruising around, the Fairbanks. So that was a great way to start a morning. I tell you what, bikers are great, and it don't matter what brand you're on. So anyway, tomorrow I'm just going to ride around the area here. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know what time I'm going to get up, and I really don't care. So anyway, I'll do a short video tomorrow to see how it develops. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys from the same place I am tonight, the North Pole. I decided to take a look at my trip now that I'm up to Fairbanks, and I decided to check it out on the map, on the two maps, the USA and the map of Canada. And boy, my trip sure looks a lot longer looking at them on the maps than it does when I open it on my phone. But I started May 8th, Dallas, Pennsylvania, where I live, and I came across Pennsylvania through Ohio, past Cleveland. I got to Toledo. I went north up into Michigan, and then I stayed the night and seen my son who lives in Ann Arbor. Then the next day I came across Michigan, down around the southern tip of Chicago, in the northern part of Indiana, and then I came up around Chicago, kind of through the freeways there, and then from there I came up into Wisconsin, and then I stayed in Wisconsin, Black River Falls, and then I ended up in Minnesota, came around Minneapolis, up through, and then I stayed in Fargo, North Dakota, and then from Fargo I came all the way through North Dakota the next day, and this is the border crossing here, the town of Portal, where you go from North Dakota into Canada, Saskatchewan. And so I crossed the border there, and then I spent the night in Regina in Saskatchewan, and then I rode up around Saskatchewan, and then over and into Alberta, and I came up into Edmonton, and I stayed Center City, Edmonton, and then from there, the next day, I rode up to Dawson Creek, which is, get around the bed here, that's the beginning of the Alaska Highway. So I left there the next day, and then from there I rode up right up to Muncho Lake, which is in British Columbia, and that was fantastic. And then from there, the next day, I rode up to Whitehorse, which is on the Alaska Highway. And then the following day, I rode and I crossed the border back into the USA right here. I rode from Whitehorse, and then this is Destruction Bay. The scenery here is mind-blowing. And then I came up in Beaver Creek. This is where I crossed back into the USA, into Alaska. And then I came up, and then I stayed in, last night I stayed in Tok. And then from Tok this morning, I came up in to Fairbanks, and then I come back about 15 miles, and I'm in the town of the North Pole. So it was 10 days, and I didn't do an average, but it was 500, going day by day, it was 540 miles the first day, then 562, 395, 534, 531, 381, 457, 462, 404, and 241 for a total of 4,506. What an awesome ride. Though it's a little scary. In 2 days, I'm going to have to go all the way back. But when I'm coming back, I'm not going to come back the same exact way. I'm hoping to come back, but once I get into Minnesota or Wisconsin, somewhere probably in Minnesota, instead of coming back down around Chicago and all, I want to cut over up into the upper peninsula of Michigan, and because I've snowmobiled up there, I want to see what it looks like during the summer. So I'll come across this way, and then I'll cross the Mackinac Bridge, which will be really cool doing on a bike, unless it's real windy. And because I've trailered across it, and that's an experience. I mean, it's a 3.5 mile bridge long that connects Lake Michigan and Lake Huron, but it's 550 feet high. So then I'll come down through the upper peninsula, or whatever you want to call it, the upper part of Michigan, and then I'm going to come down here, back down into Ann Arbor. And if my friend Paul is around in Saginaw, I'll stop and see him, and then I'll come down here, and then I'll come back home. So we'll see how it all goes.